Welcome back, Royal Sussex Squad. I hope you're all having an amazing day because we've got a lot to unpack in today's episode. If you thought the smear campaign against Prince Harry was slowing down, think again. The right-wing media machine and their royalist lackeys just can't stand the fact that Harry is living his best life, free from their control. And this time, they're dragging out the tired, baseless story about his visa records. That's right. These people are so obsessed with tearing Harry down that they're actually trying to use his immigration status as some kind of political weapon. But don't worry, because we're going to break this all down, expose the nonsense for what it is, and set the record straight. But before we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and show some love with a super thanks. Your support helps us continue calling out the lies and standing up for the truth. So grab your tea, sit back, and let's get into it. So here's the deal. The Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank with an unhealthy obsession with Harry and Meghan, has spent over 2 years trying to get their hands on Harry's visa records. They want to prove, somehow, that he lied on his immigration paperwork about past drug use. And now, thanks to a Trump-appointed judge, some of those visa records are set to be released. But let's not get it twisted. This is not about transparency or justice. This is about a group of bitter royalists and political operatives grasping at straws, hoping to find something, anything, to discredit Harry. Why? Because he walked away from the royal family's toxic institution and dared to thrive on his own terms. The real kicker here? Most of Harry's visa application was likely filed in 2020, under Trump's administration. Yes, you heard that right. The very same administration that these right-wing operatives worship. If there was an issue with his visa, don't you think it would have been flagged back then? But instead of acknowledging that, they're trying to pin this on the Biden administration, spinning a ridiculous conspiracy theory about political favoritism. It's laughable. And let's talk about the sheer hypocrisy of it all. The same people foaming at the mouth over Harry's visa status had nothing to say when Trump's children used their political influence to secure shady business deals overseas. Jared Kushner walked away with billions from Saudi Arabia, and not a peep from the so-called watchdogs at the Heritage Foundation. But Harry, a man who has dedicated his life to service, who has raised millions for charity, and who has never once abused his position, is somehow the villain? Make it make sense. This is just another chapter in the never-ending smear campaign against Harry and Meghan. Every few months, these people manufacture a new scandal to keep their base riled up and distract from the real issues, like the blatant corruption within the royal family. Speaking of which, where is Prince William's wife? But I digress. The truth is, Harry and Meghan have been harassed relentlessly since stepping back as senior royals. They have been vilified for prioritizing their mental health, for protecting their children, and for refusing to be puppets for the British tabloid media. Now, even their basic right to privacy is under attack. The Heritage Foundation's stunt isn't about accountability. It's about sending a message that anyone who dares to walk away from the establishment will be punished. And yet, despite it all, Harry continues to thrive. He continues to support meaningful causes, to be a dedicated husband and father, and to live his life authentically. That's why they hate him, because he refuses to be controlled. So what can we do? First, we call this out for what it is, a politically motivated hit job. Second, we continue to support Harry and Meghan by sharing the truth. And third, we don't let these right-wing operatives rewrite history. They want to paint Harry as some sort of lawbreaker when, in reality, he has done nothing wrong. The only thing he's guilty of is refusing to be silenced. In recent weeks, it felt like the Prince Harry could be deported conversation fell to the wayside as the British and American media went into a feeding frenzy around "With Love, Meghan." But they resuscitated it. Because of course. The Heritage Foundation's 2-year-plus harassment campaign has come down to this. A Trump-appointed judge is now going to release Prince Harry's full visa files. And by full, it looks like they mean partially redacted. Prince Harry's visa files must be made public by Tuesday at the latest, a judge has ruled. Judge Carl Nichols set the deadline to release the files, which will give the clearest indication yet as to whether the Duke of Sussex lied on his immigration paperwork. The judge, who sits in Washington, approved the redactions suggested by the Department of Homeland Security and said they were appropriate. While it is not clear what material will be released, it could include forms which indicate whether Harry said no when asked if he was a drug user. Lawyers for DHS have previously said that 3 items will be released with redactions, but a 4th must remain private. The right-wing Heritage Foundation sued the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, last year after the agency, which oversees immigration in America, refused a Freedom of Information request for Harry's files. Heritage claims that Harry may have lied on the forms under the section, which asks if he had been a drug user. In his order, Judge Nichols, who was appointed by Donald Trump, said, "The government has provided the court with its proposed redactions to the documents, those redactions appearing appropriate. The government is ordered to lodge on the docket the redacted versions of those documents no later than March 18, 2025. From Daily Mail. As someone who has followed Heritage's harassment campaign since the beginning, this reads like a face-saving measure for both Heritage and the Trump administration. If there was anything questionable or noteworthy in the visa files, it would have been released and exploited months ago. Heritage has made this about what did the Biden administration do to help Harry, ignoring the fact that Harry most likely submitted the bulk of his visa application in 2020, when you-know-who was in office. Now, all that being said, the Trumpers are going absolutely batshit crazy about immigration, detaining and deporting immigrants with lawful residency statuses and green cards. So even if Harry's visa issue turns out to be a huge waste of Heritage's time, money and effort, the Trumpers' reign of terror continues. Following a judge's ruling, Prince Harry's U.S. visa records will be partially unsealed, reigniting speculation about whether he misrepresented his past drug use. While some believe this could lead to deportation, the controversy continues to elicit debate. The decision comes after a legal battle over whether the Duke of Sussex received special treatment during his immigration process. Why are Prince Harry's visa records being unsealed? Judge Nichols, who was appointed by Donald Trump, mandated in his ruling that the government submit the redacted copies of Prince Harry's visa documents by March 18, 2025, at the latest. The deadline for releasing the documents that will provide the most definitive proof to date regarding the Duke of Sussex's immigration fraud was set by Judge Carl Nichols, as per a report by the Daily Mail. The Washington-based judge declared the redactions recommended by the Department of Homeland Security to be appropriate. In London, redacted versions of files relating to Prince Harry's U.S. visa application are set to be released no later than Tuesday. A U.S. court made the order as part of a Freedom of Information request by conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, which began after the Duke of Sussex wrote about taking cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms in his 2022 memoir. In Spare, Harry said cocaine didn't do anything for me, but that marijuana is different, that actually really did help me. And to all the haters out there obsessing over Harry's visa status instead of addressing real issues like corruption in the royal family, maybe it's time to find a new hobby. Harry, who was born and brought up in the UK, has lived since 2020 in the US, where he shares his Californian home with his wife Meghan Markle and their 2 children. There has been speculation over the contents of the files since an FOI request was brought by conservative US think tank the Heritage Foundation, which alleged that Harry may have concealed past drug use that should have disqualified him from obtaining a visa. That's it for today, Royal Sussex Squad. But before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a super thanks if you support this channel and our mission to keep the truth alive. We're here to push back against the smear campaigns and make sure Harry and Meghan get the respect they deserve. So, let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Tell me what you think about this latest nonsense and how we can continue to stand up for what's right. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep calling out the nonsense. See you soon.